This episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast is brought to you by HomeBinder, the premier home management app. Receive home maintenance reminders, organize your home's inventory, manage your home improvement projects, and more. Stay tuned to get a free upgrade code for HomeBinder worth over $200.
The Home Pros Radio Show.
I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections, and this is the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. Coming up, we have Meaghan Sicilian from Scout's Pest Control joining us to talk about a recurring problem for homeowners with pets. Fleas. Yeah, that's right, Scout. Your nemesis. Also, some suggestions for another listener who has questions about managing the work and expenses related to a contractor that he has hired. But first, we hear from one of our regular callers who is now looking to put a new roof on his home. So what's better, metal or asphalt shingles?
Hey, it's Ed from Morganton. We haven't heard from Ed in a while.
I apologize for that. Good morning.
That's okay.
How are you?
You have to do better, Ed. Do better.
Listen, I have to get a roof on my house, and I'm kind of entertaining the thought of a metal roof versus an asphalt shingle. What are the pros and cons of each one?
The metal's going to be more expensive, or it's going to have a longer lifespan. However, there is maintenance. I shouldn't even say maintenance. The screws, like the grommets on the screws on the metal roof, they can dry rot, and like if you ever have a leak, it becomes very challenging to find on the metal roof. This is just from my experience. Okay. I mean, you may get different opinions from different people, but that's one of the things, because, let's say the metal roof is guaranteed for 50 years or whatever, but the screws and the depending on what kind of standing seam, there's different kinds of metal roofs as well. So it really just depends on the fasteners, if there are any fasteners showing, because if there are, you will have like slow leaks that will show up later. But the pros to the asphalt roof, I mean, obviously it's less expensive. Whenever it gets ready to be replaced, it's more common. So, it's easier to find leaks as well, because you can go to the exact spot because it's usually a little bit bigger leak. But, so, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what I have. I mean, Tommy may have a few other things that he's noticed, but, that's generally the things that I see whenever I'm encountering that.
As far as resale of the house, which is more, palatable to the purchaser?
I mean, it depends on the individual. I mean, it's not like your appraisal is going to change because it's got a metal roof. I don't think they really make an adjustment for that. Okay. So I think it's really just that individual, what their experience is with both, and what kind of horror stories they heard about each one. I think that's what it really boils down to.
I would probably lean toward, just from reactions I've seen from buyers over the years, that I would lean toward buyers liking the metal roof a little bit more. Anything that you have on a house that up front it has little to no maintenance, right, tends to be something that's more attractive to a buyer, because who wants to do work, right?
Well, with the heat we have down here, does an asphalt shingle break down faster in this weather than it would, for example, up north? You can get 25 years out of an asphalt roof. Well,
up north, you also have the disadvantage of the cold, which could wreak havoc.
And the snow,
you get moisture freezing and thawing, freezing and thawing. That could wear down a roof, I would say, probably even quicker than just heat by itself. Heat will definitely make the shingles more brittle over time. The way I look at the two options, anytime we're looking at something like that, or let's say we're looking at you've heard us talk about the pros and cons of a tank water heater as opposed to a tankless water heater, things like that. Yeah. A lot of times, like with asphalt shingles compared to a metal roof, you need to wait for the green light there.
Are you drag racing it?
Yeah, exactly. Are you still there?
Riveting radio.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, drama. Generally, when we're looking at something like these different types of options, you look at your time horizon in the house, and you're looking at the difference between the cost of owning something and the expense of owning something. In other words, what's the cost of installation compared to the expense that you will go through maintaining it over the lifespan of your ownership. So, for like a metal roof, the cost of it would be higher initially. To install an asphalt roof, it's typically cheaper. But, of course, then you have a metal roof
that lasts longer. So you're looking at 50-plus years a lot of times with a metal roof as compared to an asphalt roof that, manufacturers, many would say 30-plus years, but realistically it's probably more like somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But
I would say the metal roof could definitely be more desired, but you're going for that specific person. And a lot of times with, anytime you're looking at resale, you're looking at appealing to the masses and not to any specific audience. Sure. But I honestly, I think the metal roof would probably appeal to more people, but I don't think it's enough to warrant the cost difference in the beginning if you were going to sell it soon.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why I was kind of referring to the time horizon. There's no use in spending an extra several $1,000s on something, on an installation where you're going to turn around and sell the house probably in less than 5 years or so. So
yeah, okay.
And this is kind of the quintessential sales question or sales lesson here is, you ask that question and then you respond with a question. Well, Ed, what's important to you? What is it that you want to accomplish out of putting a new roof on the house?
Keep the water out of the house.
Keep the water out of the house. But, over long term. Yeah. Sure,
I understand.
But, is this a home that you're going to be in for quite some time? Or is this a home that...
Yes.
But the other thing, too... No? I got another...
Go ahead.
Another drive-by. So the other thing, too, I always tend to look at is, this is just me being cosmetic, but what would a metal roof look like on your house? Sometimes an asphalt shingle just looks better. So there are a lot of times I see metal roofs on homes, and I'm like, this doesn't look right. When you say, Shane?
Yeah, if there's a lot more cuts on the roof or whatnot, I'd probably stick with the asphalt.
Like if you own a 100-year-old farmhouse and you put a metal roof on it, that looks cool.
It looks awesome.
But a 70s ranch, you put a metal roof on it, that can tend to look kind of funny.
Right.
So
yeah. Okay. As always, you've helped me out.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate the call.
Okay.
Take care.
Guys.
All right. It's always a challenge to manage the finances of a large home improvement project, and if not handled carefully, that project that is designed to increase the value of your home could do just the opposite. Take, for instance, William's situation. He's trying to hold his contractor accountable for the work that is being done on his project. All right, let's go to William from Gowensville. William, what's happening?
Good morning.
Yeah?
I know I'm stepping on toes, and I really don't mean to, but it's the only way I need to ask a question. And this is about a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
We've contracted with a local contractor in Greenville to do some service for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they wanted and got $5,000 down payment up front at the time we signed the contract, which, in my opinion, isn't necessarily the question.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in May. They started on the job the latter part of July.
And they didn't finish the job?
Well, they've done some shoddy work, but that's not the point. I'm going to say about the middle of August, they want another draw.
Okay.
And we say, okay, but you you show us where the money went for the first payment, for the $5,600. And they don't want to give it to us. Now, my question to you is it standard in the industry for, and it may be a dollar amount, but is it standard in the industry to request and receive receipts for basically to show where your money went?
Well, you know what? We do have an answer there for you, William. And Shane, I think you can knock this one out.
It's not really standard to show where the receipts go because really you're contracted to you're hired to do a certain job at a certain cost. So it really depends on the amount of the work that is done. Let's say 50% of the work is done. Like a lot of times what we will do is we may, if it's a renovation type project, we'll receive 50% up front, but then we'll want like 25% when the job's 50% done. That way the leverage flips hands throughout the process of the construction. But yeah, it's not standard practice to show the receipts of where things go because that was included in the job that you hired the contractor to do in the first place.
Well, that may be true, but then again, the contractor can say the job is 50% done. The owner or the buyer in this case
Yeah.
and say it's not 50% done. Okay?
Right.
And we have a spreadsheet showing a dollar amount that basically shows they attach the dollar amount to the cost, say, for example, of putting in a new counter. Okay.
Right.
All right. And we took those dollar amounts, and it didn't add up to what we had originally paid them for a down payment.
I got you. It's honestly, a lot of that is in the contract. I think a lot of contractors learn as they go. Every time you run into a little roadblock, you figure out a new way to get past that particular thing. And a lot of it just has to do with the contract. I mean, maybe maybe they need to specify at what point, whenever this is done, we receive the next draw or whatever. I try to stay away from too many draws just because of this particular thing. I'd rather get 50% up front and 50% when it's done, unless it's a really big project. Because that way it's understood that the work is done.
Do you not at some point, say like when the job is finished, and I've done it before, but do you not have the right to ask for a release of a lien release, basically? Because if somebody's not paid, a subcontractor's not paid, or a supply house is not paid, they meaning the supplier, could put a lien on the title on our house. So you could ask for a lien release.
Sure.
At the time that the job is completed.
Absolutely. And we are required to do that a lot on, say, some of the, I always give the example 203K, like the renovation loans where the bank is involved and all. We have lien releases we have to sign. I've never been asked that from an individual, but it's not unheard of. I mean, we have to do it with anything that's, or the things that are bank owned. Or, if the bank has the note and all, we have to do that. Right. So it's certainly not unheard of.
Right. Well, in this case, the house is paid for, but still, I mean, a lot of it is personal. It goes back to the individual. But if you have a clear release, then you do know, if nothing else, you have the relief of knowing in the future if you ever sell a house or get a mortgage or whatever, there's no lien attached to your house.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of those, just cover yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, you answered my question, and I appreciate it.
All right,
okay,
William, appreciate the call. Yeah,
bye.
So, hey, take care.
This episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast is sponsored by HomeBinder. There is no better way to organize paint colors and home documents, get maintenance reminders, receive email alerts of appliance recalls, and share valuable information about your home with potential buyers. For a limited time, use promo code HOMEPROSRadio, all one word, to upgrade to our premium edition for the life of your ownership. Visit us online at homebinder.com or simply click on the link provided in the show description of this podcast. HomeBinder, a homeowner's best friend.
And we had a question last week.
I've been having a horrendous problem with fleas this year, and my vet said a lot of the fleas are getting immune to the medicine, the flea medicine you put on them. Did a little research on the internet and found diatomaceous earth, which is used for hundreds of different things. That works, but it takes a while to work. I was wondering if you or any of your callers got any maybe home remedies or any sort of ways besides bug bombs and poison to help get rid of fleas.
And we have one special guest joining us right now. It's Meaghan from Scouts.
Hello.
Hey, got anything good for us this week?
Absolutely. The diatomaceous earth, it's definitely a natural organic method to help control fleas. The issue that we find with that is trying to get the fleas to actually come into contact with it. Because in order to affect their exoskeleton, which is what that will attack, it basically needs to touch it. And it's very hard to get that spread throughout your yard. Routine maintenance is one of the best things. So if you were to do this monthly, I would say that that's definitely a good way to help keep things cut down, keeping the grass cut back. And it's absolutely true that fleas are becoming resistant to a lot of the pyrethroid chemicals, and that's what's found in a lot of these flea medications. I suggest Seresto flea collars. It is still a chemical, but you're not putting it directly into your dog. So like us, we don't want to put all these chemicals in our body. So why put them in your dog? Mine are like my children. They sleep in our bed with us. Scout is very important to us. And so we use Seresto. It pretty much is a repellent for the fleas. It's a flea collar, and it's putting the chemical on the outside of the dog like you would, or the cat, just like you're doing with this diatomaceous earth.
Are you talking about like those? Are those like the ointments you put like between the shoulder blades?
No. That's another chemical you're putting directly into your blood. Your dog's bloodstream. So the Seresto collar is just a flea collar.
Oh.
It's not like the old-fashioned flea collars, though. It repels. It works for 8 months. It's fabulous. And if you put it on them at the beginning of the season, you shouldn't have to do anything if you're keeping up your routine maintenance every month. Now, we have a chemical that we use when we do a mosquito treatment, that if that's done monthly as well. And it's a organic derivative chemical that you can have sprayed monthly, and it's going to cut back fleas, ticks, spiders, just about everything, including the mosquitoes.
Nice. Well, speaking of bloodsuckers, I actually got out of a crawl space yesterday, and I felt a little bump on my neck, and I was like, a piece of dirt on my neck. I wiped it off, thought it was gone, and then 5 minutes later, it was there again.
Same
it was
thing
a
there.
tick. So
he had a tick. What kind of tick now? That's a big question. You got to watch out for Lyme disease and all kinds of things. It's scary what we encounter under homes.
There are different types of ticks.
Yes, absolutely. Send me a picture of your bump. But no, fleas are very resistant. They could even survive in water for 7 days. It takes 24 hours to submerge a flea for it to drown.
They must have some really big lungs.
Have you ever tried to crush one?
No.
That diatomaceous earth is basically going to affect the cuticle that holds that exoskeleton on. It's going to absorb all their fats and, oils there, and that's how it kills them. But again, they have to come into contact with it. You can even find that stuff in like some of our toothpaste and even that good old cat litter. Do you know what diatomaceous earth is?
Yeah. In fact, I went out and had Mexican the other day for lunch, and I think I had that when I got home.
I thought it was a band that Jack Black was in.
Yeah.
It actually remains of fossilized diatoms or plankton, marine sediments, believe it or not. And they say that, it's good for your joints, your nails, your hair. Tommy, you can definitely, Shane, you guys can get some benefits for the hair use.
So what are we doing? Apply it to our scalp or drink it?
No, you have to take it.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't do it. In my opinion, anything that's going to kill something, I'd rather not put in my body.
That's true. Stay away from it then.
Yeah. I read something the other day that there was some kind of Roundup in our Cheerios.
Yeah.
Remnants.
Did you hear about that?
I didn't understand what you said.
There was a story about some being contaminated.
So basically,
with Roundup?
Nature's Valley, a few other, So when they, treat these fields and take care of things that are going on in the field when the wheat's being made, then when they harvest it, this chemical is still being found on the food we eat.
The chemicals in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
So, big thing about using any chemical, hire a professional.
And what does Kenny like to say?
Scouts.
What does Kenny like to say?
The label is the law.
There you go, baby.
Label is the law.
You read it. Use gloves. You got to be safe what you're doing. That's why I say to hire a professional, because we really care about the earth and the chemicals we're using. We want to make sure we're using them properly and we don't affect either or.
That's it. So, folks, if you want to get a hold of Scouts Pest Control, the number is...
It's 864-469-4999.
All right, Megan. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
All right.
We'll see you.
Enjoy the Home Pros Radio Show podcast? Well, we certainly invite you to join us for our live broadcast every Saturday morning as it airs at 9 a.m. Eastern on 94.5 WGTK, The Answer. If you're outside of our listening area, you can hear us online at 945theanswer.com or even watch us on Facebook Live at Home Pros Radio is where you can find us there. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections, and for my co-host Shane Hips with Closing Contractor, we thank you for subscribing to the show, and we'll catch you next time on the Home Pros Radio Show podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. If you have a question for the Home Pros, visit us online at homeprosradio.com, where you can contact us directly and also learn more about the topics and guests we bring to you each week. It's the Home Pros Radio Show online at homeprosradio.com or on the radio at 94.5 WGTK, The Answer.